Welcome to the Lights Out podcast. This is Chris Lights Out Lytle, and this is our journey to document the history of mixed martial arts. I have brought with me my friend, the MMA detective Mike Davis, and together we will preserve the history and hear some great stories from the world in the era of the no-holds-barred. Thank you and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Lights Out MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm with the host of the show, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Today's guest is a lover of martial arts and a boxer who fought all over the world. He earned a national title as an amateur, and as a professional, he became the heavyweight champion of the world, a first for the Lights Out podcast. It's my pleasure to welcome to the show Relentless Lamon Brewster. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me. How you guys doing?
Man, Lamon Brewster, ladies and gentlemen, I know we're an MMA podcast. We've been talking about going down that boxing path. You got to start with the world champion whenever you do that. And this guy's life right here is so incredibly fascinating. I suggest you guys buckle up. Lamon, thanks, man. Really appreciate you coming on, bro.
Oh, man, thanks for having me, man. It's really a pleasure, man. I think the world of you, Mike. You're a great dude, man.
Hey. So Lamon Brewster, for everybody that doesn't know, he is an excellent follow on social media. In terms of like his view of the world is very unique and it's incredibly interesting, man. You guys, I'm telling you, you're going to learn something if you follow this guy on social media. He leads by example. But let's start with your amateur career. I know you were the 1992 Junior Olympic champion, but where does your boxing journey start?
For me, it started at the age of 7 when my mother had well, let me just go back. So I grew up watching Kung Fu theater, man. Like I got into boxing because of Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be like Bruce Lee. And so one time my mother had company when I was a child, and we talking about the 70s. So like any young child, when the parents have company, you want to be in the room, and that's what I did. But when grown folks talking, they don't like children to be in the room because of what they might say or what they might do. So my mother sent me to my room. And so I was mad because she sent me to my room. And I had on my little Star Wars pajamas. That was my Bruce Lee outfit. And I went into this room, and she had just bought me a brand new drum set, man, as a child, man, in the 70s. A single parent black woman worked hard to buy her son a set of drums. And what do? I'm mad because I couldn't be in the room with them. And so I tore the drum set up, man. So after she sent the company away, she tore me up. And so then she sent me to school the next day. When I came home, she was sitting there staring at me when I walked through the door. She was like, you know what? We're going to do something to get rid of all that energy. And so she took me down the street to this local community center called Riverside. And so they didn't offer any sports for someone my age. And so the last stop was a boxing gym on the way out. And I wasn't old enough. I was supposed to be 10, but I was tall for my my age. And so the coach thought my mother was cute, I guess. And so he allowed me to sign up, man. And I was going into this gym, and I start smelling something that I had only smelled in my father's closet. And my father had these gloves in his closet, but he would never allow me to play with them. But when he would go to the store, I'd get him out and play with them. And they had this funny smell to them. And I would put them back before he came. And so when she took me to this boxing gym and I walked in this gym, man, I got a whole smell of those boxing gloves, but it was a whole room, and it was men with their shirts off. And like I told you, I'm a big Shaolin dude, man. So seeing these dudes with their shirts off, I was like, okay, I'm home. Like something inside me woke up, man. And she left me at the boxing gym and never came back. I'm still waiting on her to come get me.
How many amateur fights do you think you had in total?
Well, so I guess you call them smokers too, but I don't know, man. I rounded off. I say around 100 fights. I say 90 and 10, something like that, man, with 75 knockouts.
In the amateur circuit, even today, unless you've got about 60 or 70 fights, like you're really not seasoned. That's super important.
Yeah, super important. Yes.
It really is. And like that 1992 Junior Olympic Championship. Now, I know it wasn't like a really deep field, but once you got to certain levels, everybody's a shark.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Who were some of the guys you fought in that 92?
Man,
anybody of prevalence?
You know what? He was the guy that actually made me, well, at least I thought I was going to quit boxing. It was a gentleman out of St. Louis by the name of Damon Salisbury, and he was a really good heavyweight, man. And I thought I won the fight. I hit the dude everywhere but under his foot, but they gave him the fight, and so I said, I'm going to quit boxing.
Really?
Yeah, I said I'm going to quit boxing because I was living in California, and matter of fact, in 92, me and Montel Griffin, we were actually roommates, man. And it was funny because he's from Chicago, I'm from Indianapolis. He left-handed, I'm left-handed. His birthday is one day, his birthday is June 6th, my birthday is June 5th. You know what I mean? So it was like iron, as the Bible say, iron sharpens iron, and man sharpens man. Like boxing with Montel made me so much better because at the time, me and Montel was around the same weight, but then as I started, my grown man-ism started kicking in, I started spreading, and so I started going up to heavyweight, but I'm still boxing with him, and he was so slick that he made me that much better, man. Like he really did, and he helped me with my confidence a lot because coming up, I didn't come up with my father, you know what I mean? Like my father he didn't live far from me, but he didn't live under the same roof with me. So, a lot of times I always felt like it was just me against the world. But having people to help motivate me and push me like Montel did, man, he helped to bring out the best in me,
I got a quick question. I've studied your career. You're naturally left-handed?
Yes, sir.
That explains your left hook. Okay.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
Yeah, you're a converted Orthodox fighter.
Yes. So at the age of 12, about 12, I went over to another gym. My mother married a gentleman, and I moved into the neighborhood where he grew up, which was on the same side of town, but it was a different community, and that community didn't like the community that I came from. So I used to go to this gym called the Christamore House, and I was training under the tutelage of a gentleman by the name of Honey Boy Bill Brown. He had 330 bare knuckle fights. He used to hobo during the Depression days with Jack Dempsey. He taught me about the art of boxing, and that's why if you saw over the years, my style changed because everybody I fought, I used to just box. I just outboxed everybody, no matter how tall you were. But as I say, my grown man-ism, when I started spreading and my legs got bigger and my shoulders got wider, it was harder for me to keep bouncing. But at the same time, the trade-off was my power started coming into play. And then, as you know, in boxing, especially in that heavyweight division, it became you couldn't necessarily compete unless you were 6'5", because every fighter became 6'5", 240. Like George Foreman, which was considered a big heavyweight at the time when he fought Muhammad Ali, he was on the 225, 250. No, he wasn't 250. He was like 225. That's and right. Like they considered that big. And I'm like, man, that is tiny today. So I always think back like fighters, like how would a guy like Muhammad Ali would have done against like a Wladimir Klitschko who could hit you from the other side of the ring, these tall fighters like as we talk about Deontay Wilder, he got that one punch right hand that's just probably the most powerful right hand in ever in boxing in the heavyweight division, but he lacks in other places. But the point is, how would these guys, 180 heavyweight, Joe Louis was 190 pounds, it's like
Marciano was 180. Yeah,
exactly.
Marciano was 180.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was small.
Yes, sir. Too small. So I say, it's like, man, it's for me, my trade-off with the boxing skills, I traded that in for my power because it seemed like nobody would want to box with me. Everybody would run from me because they was afraid of my power. So I had to quit trying to be a boxer and start trying to be a fighter.
Well, Joey, I think you agree with me. The durable chin as well. Like, you can't teach a jaw, and you had a heck of ability to take a heavy punch as well.
Absolutely.
Well, now I can tell you guys the secret to it. So the secret to being able to take a punch is getting your wisdom teeth removed. And if you have any what is that? When you
like fillings, cavities?
Filling, yeah. So every time the doctors go into your to do a root canal, they're killing those nerves that run to your brain. So the less nerve endings you have in your mouth, the better punch you take. And my father helped me to understand that, because we were talking one time and he was like, "Son, you can't knock an old man out." I was like, "What?" Because we live in the hood, so we see the old alcoholic, see the old winos out there with the 40-ounce bottles and no teeth. And he'd be like, "You can't knock an old man out." And I was like, "What you talking about?" He said, "You see them dudes, they ain't got no teeth." He said, "You can hit them across the head with a board, you can't hurt them." And so, me eating candy as a kid kind of worked out.
Well, my wisdom teeth are gone, so suddenly I have a lot of confidence in my chin.
Yeah. All right. One of your early trainers, Jessie Reid.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a little backstory on him, man?
Absolutely. So when I came to Los Angeles, I graduated in 1991 from a high school in Washington High School in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I got the opportunity to come to California. And so there was a lawyer that said, "If you ever in Los Angeles, look me up." I had just graduated high school. I had just turned 18, and my cousin needed somebody to help her to drive back with her children to California. So I'm going to the family reunion. I just graduated, and I had went to summer school from the time that I graduated 8th grade all through high school, because I wanted to get out of school early. And so, I completed school and was like, what am I going to do? I had letters and scholarships to go to college to play football and things like that. But, I had burnt myself out by going to summer school every summer like that. I shouldn't have did that, because right when that ended, I went right into football practice, the double practices, and then into school, and you just kept repeating for 4 years. So the point is, at the end of my senior year, it was like, okay, they want you to go to college. But man, I'm tired of reading books right now. Like I can read books as long as I'm alive, you know what I mean? But I'm young right now. And so my mother came to me, she was a librarian. She said, "I don't care what you do, just be the best at it." And so I knew that my options were slim at what I could be best at, because school just like it burnt me out, man. And so I got this chance to go out to California. This lawyer said, "Look me up." I started. I called the lawyer, told him on the way out there. Got out there, man, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna keep my word." So we had one of his guys to start taking me around the boxing gyms, and everybody ran into Oscar De La Hoya before he became Oscar De La Hoya, and everybody was like, "Hey man, you pretty good. Where you from?" And I was like, "Indiana." He's like, "Ain't no boxers in Indiana, just cornfields." I'm like, "Man, I'm from Indiana." So anyway, they ended up pointing me to gyms. And then here's another gym. Then I was led to a gym in Westminster, California, off of the 405 in Orange County. And I went into the gym and I met Jessie Reid. And then Jessie Reid had two other fighters on the other side of the ring. Oh, three other fighters. Orlando Candazales, former bantamweight champion of the world, one of the all-time great. He became my idol. Never watched a fight in history without first watching his fights to get me psychologically ready. But then he had a gentleman by the name of Larry the Shadow Musgrove, who he beat James Kitchen. And then there was a dude by the name of Montel Griffin, who just came out to Chicago, from Chicago to Los Angeles. Here we are in Westminster Boxing Gym, and we became family. Matter of fact, we leading him up to the 92 Olympics. Me and him were actually roommates, man. So, just a lot of great things, man. God has really been good to my life, man.
For the listeners that don't know California, Westminster is right by Huntington Beach. So you're
That's
going from
right.
Indiana, you're a short drive to the beach. That had to be a shock for you, right?
Man, every time I used to leave the gym, I used to go down there to 19th Street in Orange County with my shirt off and look at the surfers like, what? That girl was looking at me.
Were you at the 1994 Olympic Festival? You beat Nate Jones to get into the finals against Juan Cruz. Nate Jones, how many times as an amateur did you guys fight? Nate Jones, former bronze medalist, current
That's
pad
right.
holder for Floyd Mayweather Jr. Okay.
Man, you know what? We fought a total of 4 times together, man. The first time was in St. Louis. That's when I stopped him. The second time, I fought him to go to the Pan American Games in Buenos Aires, and I beat him then too. And then the third time, when it was to go to the Olympics, see, I was always #1 captain. I was actually the team captain. I was always #1 all the way up until the Olympics. I beat everybody, man. And then I started going through a thing that we call divorce. And my head was over here, my body was over here. So when I got in the ring, because I had just argued with my wife because I wanted her to support me like I supported her. And like I told her, even if you don't talk to me, when I walk out in the ring, I just want to see your face, and then you can leave if you want. And she's like, no, I ain't coming, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I got to fight. This has been my dream. I supported you for yours, so here I got to go do mine. So everything was cool, put out of my head. Me and my trainer, Bill Slayton, as you know, he trained Ken Norton. Norton was his first heavyweight champ. I was his last. Rest in peace. We get in the van. Floyd Mayweather, Tony Tarver, David Reed, Fernando Vargas. Like it's a 12-passenger van, and we were the #1 team, so we always stuck together because they flew us around the world fighting everybody together as a team because we were going to be the ones that went to the Olympics. We get in there. Now, mind you, I'd already beat Nate twice. I know I'm about to beat this dude, man. For the Olympics, what? But I just got in this argument with my wife. I put it out of my mind. But when we got in the van, we sat in the back of the van after we put our bags in there. And then they said, man, let's turn on the radio. The stadium was like a block away. We could have walked. They turned on the radio. They had announced my wife, the movie star who was on the show, Martin, said her plane just landed in the Oakland airport because we was an hour away from LA where we lived, and the argument was for her to come to up there to support me like I supported her television career. But she said no. I put it out of my mind. Now here I done got in the car, put her out of my mind, and they telling me she just landed at the airport. She's going to sign autographs at the mall that's across the street from the venue that I'm fighting at. So when I got in the ring and I saw Nate Jones, I'd already stopped him one time. I had already beat him after that to go to the Pan American Games. So I'm gonna take my anger out on this dude. So I'm swinging, man. I'm going to Texas with these punches. You hear me? I'm glad these punches didn't hit them. They probably still be counting them out. But the point I'm trying to make is I got to the third round and I'm not hitting this dude. I couldn't even see straight because I'm so angry. I'm so embarrassed. I'm more embarrassed than anything because everybody knew who my wife was and she used to support me. And now here she's not here, but yet she's going to the mall that's across the street when she just said she wasn't even coming to see me fight. But you gonna come and go across the street? Man, my mind was, dude, I was done.
Mess.
I was done, man. So, he won, but the first belt I ever fought for was the NABO.
Right.
And it was at the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. And Don King, because I signed with Bob Arum first, said, I'm going to throw you at the bottom of the pit. I'm going to make you fight your way up to the top. You got to beat everybody in my stable because you signed with Bob Arum first, and by the way, he didn't give me a signing bonus. Anyway, the point I'm making is that when I got to the top, the only person up there to fight was Nate Jones, which was his baby. And man, I trained so hard. Like I ran a mountain every single day because I wanted that mountain to kill me. I literally tried to die because I said, if I don't die on this mountain, ain't no way this dude gonna beat me. Man, my legs looked this big by the time I got in the ring from running that mountain. And so I had I ended up fighting this dude for the NABO, which was our 4th fight, man, and I won my first title. He got my.
Yeah.
I said you got my medal, but I got the belt.
Yeah. And you had mentioned about being a team captain. You're also referring to the 1995 Pan American Games held in Argentina. That's a real interesting moment in your life. You beat Moises Rulan, who's no slouch, and then you wind up in the finals with Felix Savon.
Yeah, I mean,
Michael Jordan of boxing.
Yep.
I agree. No amateur heavyweight from America ever beat him, man.
No.
And I look and what every fighter who loses a fight, they got a story. So my story is I was number 1 in the United States, number 2 behind Felix Savon, but we had never fought. And in fighting him, I had the flu. And so I remember that night, I walked the hotel floor, the hotel room, the dorm that we were in, that little village, the whole night, because if I laid down, that when you got the flu and it's on your chest, so you coughing really bad. So I had to just sit up. So I just sat up long enough. I don't know, man. I probably got about 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I had the flu. They wouldn't let me take any cold medicine, or they said because when they drug test me, it'll disqualify me. So, man, I did the best I could. But I got an 8 count, but then I got another 8 count. But then they stopped the fight and I wasn't hurt, by the way. He caught me with a shot. Like any fighter, you take a step, the ref account. And so I was wobbly the first one, but the second one, he just caught me with a shot. But then they wanted to stop the fight because they was like, if we don't stop this fight, then you can't go back to America because you'll have a suspension. You won't be able to fight in the nationals, which I won that year anyway. But the point is, they stopped that fight, and I was like, man, I never know if I could have beat Felix Savon because I didn't get to fight him at my best.
Well, here's the thing. At this time, he's a 5-time amateur world champion.
Yeah.
He's a 1-time gold medalist, except Cuba boycotted the 88 Olympics, and he was ranked number 1 and won the national title then.
That's what me and Ray Mercer argue about all the time, because he's part of my crew. So every time the camera's around, me and Chris Byrd be like, the only reason why you won a gold medal is because the Cubans boycotted.
There's some truth there. So Felix ended up with 3 gold medals, should have been 4. And probably won his last 200 fights.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Beat everybody. He beat everybody.
That is true.
the thing is, though, it's those are the types of fights where, I watched your Klitschko fight, and I know this is way past what we're covering right now. We're probably not going to get to it, but I'm going to tell you this right now. If I watched your Klitschko fight, and then I watched your Felix Savon fight, and I said, he learned a lot from that Felix Savon experience.
Absolutely. The problem I had going into that fight, they were going to send me home from the U.S. Olympic team because I always fought from the style that my trainer Bill Slayton taught me, which was the jerky style. They wanted me to fight like this, but I'm like, I won the nationals. I knocked out everybody that I ever fought in the amateurs, doggone near, like this. Now you tell me I gotta fight the best fighter in the world like this, or you're gonna send me home from camp. What do you do, man? What do you do? So I start trying to put my hands here, but I wasn't used to my hands being in my face. I'm blinding myself, So, again, it's a learning. Like you say, you learn a lot, man. But that's one of the things that I feel that is not right about USA boxing, is that they don't allow fighters to fight their styles. Why would you change my style if I've been fighting this way my whole amateur career, and now because I'm on your team, you want me to change the style that made me number 1 to fight a style that you feel is appeasing for USA boxing? I knocked out so many people that put their hands up just by making their hands hit them own selves, man. Irritating. I mean, it's stupid to try to tell a man how to win his race.
Yeah. How was the audience there in Argentina? I heard it was real hostile towards you guys.
Man, listen, Fernando Vargas almost got us killed. Now, mind you, I was the team captain. And so it was my job to make sure that, the team was together. And if anybody had a problem, I was supposed to address it. And then if I couldn't, then I go to the coaches, but they couldn't go to the coaches. So Fernando Vargas, young, hothead, and we in Argentina, and we sitting ringside. I think Michael Sims was fighting, or Lance Whitaker. And so we're at ringside while America's fighting. Just so you know, the rest of the world hates America. I don't care.
You think?
I ain't never.
You're not wrong.
I ain't never went to a country where the other countries rooted for an American. I mean, man, if you would think. I mean, listen, man, every time we got in the ring, the whole place was like, boo, boo. I mean, I don't care. Even if the dude threw a punch and didn't hit us, they was cheering like he hit us, man. And so Fernando Vargas, being a hothead that he is, he started speaking Spanish, which nobody spoke Spanish, so we don't know what he's saying. So he's going back and forth, turning around, talking to this audience, man. It's a sold out place, man. And so when the fight ended, they announced the winner. Fernando's still going back and forth. He said something in Spanish that pissed everybody off. And everybody in that entire arena stood up and rushed us. I grabbed Fernando in a headlock and just ran with him and just got on a bus. I don't know if we left boxing equipment or not. They started throwing Molotov bottles at the bus. We had to be police escorted out of that place, man. And thank God that was the last fight, because we had to fly from Buenos Aires into Brazil and then back to America. Hey, man, Tarver was late for the plane. We had to hold up 2 hours for Tarver to get on the plane. I'm like, man, they gonna kill us. I ain't never gonna see my mama no more.
Yeah, I could see Fernando Vargas. He was probably pretty good at talking trash.
Probably.
Pretty good, especially Spanish.
Whatever he said was enough to make people throw a Molotov bottle, the same kind of bottles you see in a movie. When I watch video games, I be thinking about us in Argentina trying to get on that bus, man.
1996, you were voted most likely to have a successful professional career. You fall short at the Olympics. I think you picked up Willie Gault as a manager.
Yes. He
former football player.
He changed. Yeah, you know what? He was the wide receiver for the Chicago Bears the year they had Refrigerator Perry and Jim McMahon. Yeah, when they was the squad, man.
Supposedly the fastest receiver ever, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Great guy.
How do you connect with him? So
that same gentleman by the name of Mitchell Stein, they call him the Doberman. He's a trial lawyer, and he introduced me to Willie because I think they met like playing golf or something, and he said he wanted him to help me to get in shape. And then me and Willie gained a relationship, and then he became my first boxing manager, man. So he used to get me up every morning. We would go down on Santa Monica Beach because we both lived across from each other on Santa Monica Beach. And then we would go over to Santa Monica College, and instead of running miles, we would just run, of course you would warm up. So you would run to warm up, but we start running a series of sprints, intense sprints. And I'm like, man, I said, listen, I'm a boxer. I need endurance. I said, I need to run 30 minutes. You know what I mean? I need to run 3 or 4 miles. He said, man, just trust me. Just trust me. And I was like, well, I know I probably am more skilled than the average fighters because of my pedigree of boxing, And so I said, I'm going to try it. So instead of running miles, I ran the sprints that he asked me to. And then every day we would leave there and we would go to Gold's Gym in Venice Beach, man. And I would lift and do all these things that it was foreign to me. It was new to me. I wasn't used to that, And I got in this fight, man, and my reflexes was so fast because I had been working short twitch muscles, which boxing don't teach you about short twitch muscles, not back then. And so the way he had me eating and everything, man, I was so much faster than everybody I fought. And like I said, with my power developing, man, it just made me a monster, man.
Well, your first professional fight, November 4th, 1996, Arizona Charlie's in Las Vegas. It was Moises Harris.
Yes, yes. They told me I made $500 for that fight. My first fight, decorated amateur, got $500. Okay, whatever. And so they said, well, we don't have any tape on this guy. I'm like, yeah, ain't no tape on this guy. Is he conventional? Is he southpaw? What is it? They don't tell me nothing. They just like get in the ring and fight, champ. And my fact, Ike Ibeabuchi was the main event, as a matter of fact. And so I fought a gentleman who I consider my big brother. He got killed, and it was supposedly related with the Tupac stuff because he was from the neighborhood that Tupac was from. The dude that shot Tupac, and they had a war going on. But anyway, he had got killed, but he was the dude that every time you saw me, you saw him. And he was like the only time I could ever say that God really blessed me with a big brother, And I walked into the ring with his hat on for that fight, man. And so I had so much going through my mind. I was actually nervous because, I wanted to prove that I could become a good professional. I wanted to show the world that I'm going to be the future. And
you belong there. And you belong there. Yeah, you belong there. Yeah.
Bobby wasn't there with me. And Bobby was always with me as an amateur in California, man. So it was so much emotion. He had his hat called No Fear.
What was Bobby's last name? What was Bobby's last name?
His last name was Finch. Bobby Ray Finch. He's out of South, what they call it, South Side, but it's in Compton, man. Off of Greenleaf and anyway, I can't remember the street, but yeah, man. So he had done 10 years in prison, and he was actually the bodyguard for the attorney that brought me out to Los Angeles. But him being employed with my attorney started having him to take me everywhere to the gym and everything, and me and him just bonded, man. And like I say, when his life was taken, man, right before my fight, and it was just like I said, I went through that deal of the ex-wife, and didn't get to go to the Olympics. So that fight right there, man, like when I hit that dude, man, I looked at the tape on camera. I looked at the videotape. When I hit that dude, I hit him so hard that he actually lifted up off the canvas. If you watch the tape, when I hit him, and when he came down, he just was kicking his legs because he was in so much pain. But that was just all of that built up frustration in me, man. I just expressed myself.
Well, you had mentioned the headline Ike Ibeabuchi.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any personal interaction with him?
Yeah, man. He's a nice guy, man. That's why when I heard about the trouble that he got into, I was really surprised, man, because I wouldn't think that a guy like him would have had so much going for himself would, fall to the wayside, get in trouble like that, And I remember because I was with Cedric Kushner. That was a Cedric Kushner card. And rest in peace. And I remember it was a Ring magazine. They came out with the 5 Lions, and it was Ike Ibeabuchi, it was Chris Byrd, David Tua, Hasim Brockman, and Lamon Brewster. They said we was the future of boxing, and they put us all. I still got the article somewhere buried of us as the 5 Lions, man.
Yeah, Kushner.
Cedric Kushner from South Africa.
He was really a character. He had an eye for talent.
Like he got great cards, man.
He could pick out cards. Like you had, Ike just got out of prison recently too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey man, Michael Nunn just got out over about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I keep in touch with Mike, man. He's a good dude, man.
I tell you what happened to him. Like everybody, whenever something BS happens in the news, they They flash it across the country, and usually it's somebody of questionable background that some people could disagree with. Universally, everybody can agree what took place with Michael Nunn was criminal. What they did to him it should be criminally punished, what they did to that man.
Well, man, this country ain't always been fair to people that look like me. And being in Iowa, now if he'd have been anywhere else, just like if Mike Tyson wouldn't have been in my hometown of Indiana, he probably wouldn't have went to prison.
It's true.
But hey, when I saw Mike for the first time, I said, man, I just want to apologize to you. He said, for what? I said, I just want to apologize to you. I said, man, because you could have got in trouble anywhere except in my hometown of Indiana. I just want to tell you, if I'd have known you, I'd have told you, keep going.
Yeah, it's true.
But a lot has changed. A lot has changed, man. That city's changed 100%.
All right, so you mentioned Cedric Kushner. Hasim Rahman was on the card as well. So
yeah,
Cedric set up the fight between Rahman and Lennox Lewis, of which Rahman wins.
Yeah.
And then Rahman leaves Cedric and goes and signs with Don King. Why was everyone flocking towards Don King when he had such a kind of a spotty reputation?
Well, I'll tell you like this, man. With the exception of me, I'm the only dummy that went to him and didn't get anything for it. But that was because I'll tell you my story. But people go to Don King because Don offers you cash money up front. People from the urban neighborhoods that I come from, they ain't got both parents in the house and they ain't never seen that much money. If it's 5, 10, 15,000, 20, 100 or suitcase, whatever, Don would put the money on the front because he know he was gonna get it on the back. And people like me who ain't never had no money and they ain't got no relatives that got no money, they gonna see that money and feel like they the richest person that ever lived. So they're gonna take the now versus the later.
Oh, it's the okie doke. Oh, dude, Don King's brilliant. Brilliant man.
He is. He definitely is. He definitely is. And that's how I ended up losing my title, because Don knew he can make more money with a Caucasian heavyweight champion than with a black heavyweight champion from the hood. And so when I got the fight was already announced. It was already all over the tabloids. I'm fighting this dude. Now here I am. I'm dogging there 300 pounds. How the heck am I going to be ready for a fight in less than 2 months? Like, help me to understand that when my average fighting weight was always between 225. And
yep.
Yeah, like, how am I going to come from 300 pounds because my wife was pregnant? My wife was pregnant. We had just moved back to the Midwest. She ate, I ate. And then I came down there to start working with Buddy McGirt, and Don heard I was down there. He was like, well, drive another 2 hours to see me. I said, okay. So I go to see him, and he's like, well, just stay over for the night. And I'm like, all right. So he said, we're going to barbecue. And so we barbecuing, having a good time, just me and my friend that came down there with me. And Don was staring at me. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, and I felt something burning me. I turned around, looked at Don, and he was staring at me, just not blinking. I'm like, man, that's weird. All right, whatever. We finished. We have the night, eat the food. Next day, I leave the house that Mike Tyson bought, because it was a house that I stayed in, the house that Mike Tyson money decorated, that was next to the house of Don King, with the big old Statue of Liberty out the back facing the east. So anyway, I'm driving back home. Oh, excuse me. I'm driving back to Vero Beach, which was 2 hours from Boca Raton, where Don was living. And before I get there, Don calls me. Oh, yeah, how he do his spiel. It's like, you fighting in 7 weeks, something like that. I'm like, huh? What? You just saw me. I'm 300 pounds. How the hell am I going to get in dog shape to defend my title? Man, I did everything I could. Matter of fact, I think before I even parked my car, I already had my dudes in Los Angeles heading to the airport so they can get on the plane and come. Let's start this camp. I'm still trying to get, to know Buddy.
He said, yeah, man.
So anyway, man, that as it happened, and it's my fault, and I tell this story. I don't blame Don. I blame me because the week before the fight, I had just took my eye exam test, and so I'm good to fight. But the next day, I'm waking up, I'm going to the bathroom. As I'm walking to the bathroom, I'm like, something is off. Well, come to realize that my eyesight from if you're looking straight, I could not see out of my left eye down, but I could just see from my left eye from the middle up. But I got my right eye, and I did not know about detached retinas. I didn't know what it was. I just
No.
know that I had already passed my eye exam. So we get into the fight. In the very first round of the fight, Sergey Lyakovich threw a punch, and it didn't even hit me. It just flicked it flicked me in my eye, I think with his fingers open. That's how far away I was. It wasn't even a solid punch, and my eye just ripped. And so for 12 rounds, I was in excruciating pain. I couldn't see out of my left eye. I felt like somebody had a ice pick and they was pushing it out of my eye for 12 rounds. And so even if you go back and watch the fight, there were times when I was punching really hard, and then you would see me just go into a huddle because the pain was so bad, because I didn't know how much pressure that goes in your eye when you're doing anything. Like even after my surgery, I couldn't lift anything for like 3 months. Even my brand new newborn daughter that I wasn't able to be there with because I'm in a hospital, I didn't know that a detached retina to do that. I didn't know the seriousness of it. But hey man, I ain't making no qualms about it, man. God, and Craig, I'll tell you another story. As I was flying from Florida to we fought in Cleveland, me and Sergey Lyakovich, I had a dream on a plane that the plane crashed. And I've never had a dream about a plane crashing that I'm on. You know what I mean? And so when I woke up, I was still on a plane. And I'm just like,
Fuck
wow,
that.
man, I got this bad feeling. And then when I walked to the ring, when I walked in the ring, and as soon as my foot went through the ropes, and when I stood up in the ring, I took that first bounce, and something like I could hear something say to me, I got a bad feeling about this. And sure enough, it was a life-changing punch.
Man,
But what can you do?
No, your beginning pro career is at a rapid pace. Like you didn't have. It's a real easy way to get somebody beat by fighting them over and over, like what Don King did with Mike Tyson. Right. Fight them every 6 weeks until like they eventually, like they cave in because they physically just can't keep it up. Well, here you got Sean Fink, November 29th. December 17th, you fight for Stu Satowski. You fight Greg McGee. Fabian Meza, December 28th. And then January 9th, you pull in at Beverly Hills on Senator Kushner's card against Ron the Bear Smith. Like you're like 6 fights in about 3 months.
Yeah, man. That year, well, in a fiscal year, I fought 12 times in 1 year. I almost tied Mike Tyson, who got 13 fights his first year. I had 12 fights in 1 year.
Yeah, you're 5 fights in. This is your 5th fight. And I can tell you about Ron Smith. Ron Smith doesn't have a good record, but I'm going to tell you this right now. It's guys like him that allow people like you to go where you're at, because that dude earned his money that night.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you know, man, I remember Seal was in the audience, man. And afterwards he came up and he was talking to me, man. I'm like, wow, man, I can't believe it. This is Seal.
And the punches that he took, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, you know, man,
he kept getting up. He kept getting up too. Like most people would have just laid down, man. Right. Like, hey, let me get my money.
Yeah. He must not have had, that guy didn't have wisdom teeth.
No,
no way.
So you go from that was in Beverly Hills, man. That was like a bougie event, real high end, like real small, but everybody there had money.
Yes, sir.
Trent's around January 31st. So that's twice in 1 month. Then you got
that's at the Grand Western Forum. That's a huge venue. Was that a big card?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I fought on everybody's undercards, man. I did. And I
That was
mean,
a
see the thing, I wanted to fight. Like I was one of them people that wanted to fight and take time off, man. I was hungry. I wanted to be heavyweight champion of the world. Since Sugar Ray Leonard beat Marvin Hagler, I had this epiphany because I was a big Marvin Hagler fan. And when I was watching, I was sitting downstairs in front of the Zenith television flat screen, floor model, and it came on. Da 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 da. I want to make the announcement. The announcement that Sugar Ray Leonard just beat Marvin Hagler. Man, my spirit rose up out of me. I never forget. I was sitting with my legs crossed in front of the television. Probably had some Kool-Aid in my hands, and my spirit rose up and was like, "You're gonna be heavyweight champion of the world." So from that day forward, from the day that I found that the day that Sugar Ray Leonard beat Marvin Hagler, I prayed to God every day to allow me to become a world champion. And I didn't even know I was going to be a heavyweight champion. So my prayer changed as my weight changed. And then for 8 months, no lie, for 8 months after I beat Wladimir Klitschko, every time I got on my knees to pray, I would always end with, Lord, let me be heavyweight champion of the world. And I would have to stop myself because I was already heavyweight champion of the world. It took me 8 months to stop saying that from the time I was 13 to the time 31 when I won it.
Holy
wow.
shit.
Now that fight at the Forum was headlined by Thomas Hearns. Speaking of the Four Kings,
Yep.
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
legendary guy.
You fought on a couple cards with him. Yeah.
I was the last fight of the night on that card. And Tommy Hearns came out and told everybody, look, I just won, but I want you to watch my little brother. He gonna be a world champion one day. He said that on the mic, man, after he had went in the locker room and came back out because people was leaving. He made everybody stay and watch me fight, man. I love Tommy Hearns, man. I love Tommy Hearns.
Wow.
I tell
He
you,
came to my 21st birthday party. How many people say Tommy Hearns came to their 21st birthday party?
we were like that Sugar Ray Leonard fight with Marvelous Marvin Hagler was so controversial that as a child, my dad had all three of his boys sit down, score this fight round by round. He wants to know if a child saw what he saw. And
wow.
I had Hagler. My two brothers had Sugar Ray. I had Hagler though.
I knew you was my guy. I told you.
Yeah. So check this out. Then you get Tim Knight. You got February 6th, a week later.
Yeah.
And then you get May 6th, 1997, Mark Johnson. You're with Dick Woods out in Colorado, training with him. Yeah. I think he's underappreciated as a trainer.
Yeah. Yes, man. Dick Woods is truly one of the stable. He makes boxing stable. He does things outside of the business of boxing. Like Dick Woods, he's been known to give fighters money, help fighters through hard times. And he's a great guy, man. And he's a great trainer, and he's gotten even better naturally over the years, man. And I wish that every trainer could be like a Dick Woods, man, because he really cares about the fighter. It ain't just about the money or the fame or whatever,
You beat Mark Johnson by KO. Willie Johnson, April 8th, you win by KO. Cleveland Woods, July 11th, 1997. Like, you're fighting.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, this is like a 1950s style of schedule.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, man, I grew up watching karate movies, man. They fought every episode. And for me, and you got to remember, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm a poor guy. So I had to fight, man. I had to fight to not be homeless. So I'd fight anybody, you know what I mean?
We had John Prine as a promoter. Jeff Ruff was the matchmaker. And then you get on Bob Arum's radar.
Yep.
What's your thoughts of Bob Arum at this time? That's the big leagues.
Well, I can only give my personal opinion of him, contrary to what anybody think or feel about Bob Arum. I love him. I love his whole organization. I love every single person, Bruce Trempler, Bruce Babber. I love all those guys. They were great to me. They were very organized. You always had Cass, I'm sorry, you can help me with it. They slip it under your door to let you know what you're gonna be doing the next day, when you're having breakfast.
Your
Everything was
itinerary. Yeah, your itinerary. Yep.
itinerary. Everything was so neat. You know what I mean? And I hate that I let Bob Arum and Top Rank down. I let them down because I fought for the first time on HBO, I fought a guy by the name of Cliff Etienne, and I tore my ACL in the first round, but I just kept fighting because I didn't want to lose because I was undefeated at the time. He was undefeated, and one of our O's must go, and it wasn't gonna be mine. At least I didn't want it to be. And this is my first time on HBO. I wanted to show my ex-wife that she messed up. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to show the whole world that doubted me, that thought that I could, because I didn't go to the Olympics. I wanted to show the whole world that I'm going to be the man one day. And so, man, I got into this fight. I trained to box him versus brawling with him versus fighting with him. But my trainer, with me being my first time on HBO, I was a little nervous walking to the ring. And so he said the one thing that just took the leash off of me. He said, son, you be the man in here. And when he said that, me in this mindset that I'm in, it's like, okay, I'm the man. I'm 22-0 with 20 knockouts. I'm about to knock this dude out. You know, I ain't going to box. But the whole point is I trained the entire camp to box him. I did not train to brawl with him. And so when I got into the fight, I think at first I did try to box him, but because of the pressure he was putting, and then with my nerves, I said, man, forget this. I'm Lamon Brewster. I'm going to knock this dude out. So I went to go sit down on one of my punches to hit him. And when I went to turn, my foot had sunk so far down into the canvas, because sometimes the canvases are bouncy, sometimes they're a little loose. I wasn't paying attention to the canvas. I was just in my feelings. And so when I went to throw that left hook, man, I tore my ACL, patella tendon, my meniscus. I tore everything. I couldn't even walk for 3 days after that fight. But I ended up going 10 rounds. And I remember I came back to the corner, and my trainer, he was like, what's wrong? Because he knew something was wrong.
Wait. So you're talking about John Kiser. You're talking about your match with John Kiser, or are you talking about?
No, he's talking about Clifford Etienne, the Black Rhino.
My first
Clifford Etienne. Okay.
Professional law.
Skipping around.
Now John Kiser, he ran for me for 8 rounds, so we went the distance. I was mad about that. I wanted to knock that dude out.
Wow, that was that's really important about going to the distance as well. And like it seemed, and that was November 20th, 1997. Yeah, they brought him in from Colorado.
Yes.
He weighed 201 pounds.
Yes, I couldn't catch him, man. And my trainer always used to say to me, he say, son, if you ever have a chance to get somebody out of there, do them the favor and take them out, because 2 or 3 more punches could end the way that they think. You could, give them mental health issues. So if you can knock somebody out, don't ever punish nobody. If you can get them out, get them out, And so when I fought John Kiser, man, I wanted to keep that unblemished record, because at that time I still had I think that was the first, maybe the first or second time that I had went the distance. I wanted that knockout record, it looked good,
December 20th, 1997, Coachella, California. You fought Tony LaRosa. Tony LaRosa was a pretty notorious guy. There's not a lot online about him. Former money collector, like Southside Mafia money collector.
Yep.
He was a dangerous guy.
Yes, he was. And I knew not to play with him. I knew not to play with that dude, man. So the way that I presented myself is the way I always present myself, as a gentleman.
Yeah.
I don't believe the two people that are going to fight each other to try to make make people buy more tickets need to act like they're going to kill each other, because this is supposed to be a gentleman's sport. We have a job to do. Don't make it personal. And that's what, a lot of promoters try to do. I remember when I fought when I fought Wladimir Klitschko, I remember Don King whispered some personal things in my ear, and that's what made me so upset when we had the first press conference, and I smacked the microphone. I was just thinking about, like, my trainer that was dead, but he said enough to really trigger me, so I was ready to get Wladimir Klitschko right then and there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, like boxing. First off, Tony LaRosa obviously passed away.
Yeah, rest in peace.
There could be a movie made about his dealings as well. Huge
Absolutely.
ticket seller here in Chicago.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Good fighter too, man. He wasn't no slouch.
yeah, beat Michael Dokes. Boxing also brings out, like, you meet people that you can't believe you cross paths with them. Biko Botowamungu is out
Right.
of the Congo, moves to
Man.
Germany, huge, I mean, like cartoonish build, moves to Germany because they were killing people in his country.
Right.
Starts pro wrestling, wins the Austrian title, and then winds up in a fight with you. You can't make that shit up.
Can't make it up. And I have no tape on this dude. It was like a little 10-second clip of him on ESPN knocking somebody out. All I could see was he was just a really big, massive dude that looked like he always came to fight. And so that particular fight, I actually got to show my boxing skill, whereas I was able to set him up and position him to make him do what I wanted to do. So when he did what he did, I could do what I did, and the fight would be over. I'm a sniper. I ain't got to throw 1,000 punches. I just need one. But it's all about getting your feet in the right place, and that's what I was able to do with him. My feet were faster than him, and sometimes fighters need to think it's not all about your hands, it's about your feet. It don't matter how big the gun is if you can't get your feet in the right position to fire it.
You had Floyd Mayweather Jr. Versus Hector Arroyo on that card as well.
You know what, man? Me and Floyd, we came up together as amateurs on the U.S. Olympic team. And matter of fact, when we fought at the Hilton, General Chicanito Hernandez had fought the main event, and me and Floyd was together because we always would warm up together, our teams, because we always was in the back rooms together for all our fights. And so after that fight, it was just me and him, and we were walking down Las Vegas Boulevard, and he said, "Man, you know what? I'm gonna move up." I'm like, "What you mean?" Because Floyd was young, and I said,
"Yeah."
I said, "What you mean?" He said, "I'm gonna move up. I'm gonna challenge for the title." I'm like, "Man, you ain't ready." I don't know. I may have even said it to him. I said, "Man, you ain't ready for that, man." I said, "You still learning, man. We're still learning." He said something that I never forget, and that's why I appreciate him. He said, "You can't let little money stand in the way of big money," and I never forget that, man. And as we continue to, because all of my undercards, all the undercards I fought on with Bob Arum, me and Floyd always came up together. We was always in the same stall, all the weigh-ins, everything. And so when he said that and he made that step up, and when he beat Gennaro Hernandez, I was thoroughly impressed. I didn't think he was going to win because Gennaro, I trained in LA. Gennaro used to bring in other champions. He was wiping the floor with everybody. So I'm like, man, he about to beat Floyd. And sure enough, Floyd beat him, and he just kept going, man. And so that's why I appreciate him. And the other reason why I appreciate Floyd is because he never changed. If you met Floyd at 16, Floyd act the same way he do today. The only difference is the money, because a lot of times people say money make you act a certain way. Not Floyd Mayweather. When Floyd was on the U.S. When Floyd was on the U.S. Olympic team, remember, I was the team captain. So if they had problems, they had to come to me. Man, I had people coming to me like, "Man, I'm about to whoop Floyd." But Floyd used to come to me like, "Hey, man, this dude trying to jump on me." But, I had a great relationship with everybody, so I always calm it down. So like I say, man, for Floyd to be who he is today, he's not faking. This is just who he is, with money or without money. This is who he is. So that's why I love and respect him. He never changed.
What about your former manager, Ed Wineberger?
Oh, man, Ed Wineberger, a little bit about him. He was the one who is the executive producer of The Cosby Show. And if you look up the shows that he created, like Mary Tyler Moore and man, he's a Hollywood legend even to this day, man. Matter of fact, him and Dick Gregory, he used to write comedy for Dick Gregory. He wrote for a lot of shows, man. He's still in the Hollywood business. He's a great guy, man, him and his wife. And so I still have a relationship with everybody, because I believe in relationships, man. So there's hardly nobody that I ever crossed paths with that could say, I can say to you, I don't say hello to, if you will, you know?
Even Larry Merchant, like
Yes,
is as grumpy as Larry Merchant was.
yeah, yes,
He went out of his way to be polite to you
yep,
because you were always real polite to him.
sure, absolutely, absolutely. And even the people that wasn't that did not or were not polite to me, I was always polite to them because it wasn't about them. It was about how I felt in myself.
Yeah, no, you always handle yourself like a professional, man. Like you still do. Like we were at Montel Griffin's birthday party a couple years ago. Like just plain as day. Do you handle yourself the same way now as you did then?
Yeah, that was the day I wanted to commit suicide
Come on, man.
because I had gave up cigars for a year. I said I wasn't gonna smoke for a year, right? Like I've been smoking cigars um over, well, at that point it probably been almost 10 years since I had retired. And so Montel invites me up for his birthday party. Of all places to have his party, he has his party at a cigar lounge.
Cigar lounge.
Sitting there, I'm in there like a crackhead, man. I'm looking at everybody smoke cigars, and I can't even smoke a cigar because I don't want to break, my I always set goals for myself. Once a year, I'll do something. I go a year without drinking, a year without, just I always try to set a goal for myself so that psychologically I can keep myself in the mindset of I understand, overstand, understand what sacrifice is. It ain't a sacrifice if it don't hurt.
February 28th, you beat Artis Pendergrass. May 23rd, you beat Marcellus Brown. Gary Lane, May 16th, 1998, unanimous decision. It's heavyweights. Either there's a lot of clinching, and there's usually not a lot of cardio, but your output is pretty impressive. You had a belief about your size being an undersized heavyweight. Would you mind telling people about that?
So here's the best analogy I could tell you. Let's say that you are a B-52 bomber. Let's say you got every bomb, every missile, and every bullet on board. And I'm an F-16, and all I got is just my guns. If we meet in the air, there's no way you're going to beat me. So my thought was, if I could be faster, I could win. Because I know with my type of power, if I get close enough to you, I punch with my body. I learned through Qigong, I learned through martial arts about the 108 pressure points, the 36 to kill you. So I learned very masterfully about how to place punches in the proper areas. So when I was putting in work, man, I was aiming for pressure points, man. And it made a big difference in my career because my mindset was never let me get in shape and throw punches. My mindset was let me get in shape and train my mind and then start that clock because I'm the Bobby Fischer of boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And Chris Byrd as well, relative of yours, he had that same mindset. Was this something that, I know Chris Bird's father was a boxing trainer. Did this kind of trickle down from him?
No, me and Chris didn't even learn that we were related to each other until we were professional. No, I did hear my grandmother tell me once as an amateur, because her maiden last name is Byrd, and we're all from the same region in Mississippi. Look, it was called Dillon Plantation. You can look it up. It's still there today. Dillon Plantation. And so when my mother started putting two and two together, because she's now the family that she does the family tree for the family, she started connecting the dots, and she showed me how even Muhammad Ali, Ma Clay, was my third cousin. Ma Clay is Muhammad Ali's mother. She's into the Byrd family, so that actually makes her related to Chris Byrd too. I said
crazy.
One of these days I'm gonna post a family tree that shows Muhammad Ali, how he's related to me and how Chris is related to me. It's crazy, man.
And I tell you, like Montel Griffin, as a child, his father was one of Muhammad Ali's coaches, Clarence Griffin. Legend Clarence Griffin.
Absolutely.
Windy City Boxing, with the guy that started it, gave it its name.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He was a great guy from what I understand, man. And it's nothing like having a father to help push you in the sport of boxing. And a lot of times when I was fighting, I always felt so much stronger knowing that my father was ringside, you know.
I tell you, like you got the relation with Muhammad Ali. Montel Griffin, who considers you his best friend and brother, he was as a child watching Muhammad Ali prepare for fights.
Exactly.
Like training camps. It's crazy how you guys were all
Crazy.
like related.
I know, man. Like I grew up because Chris Byrd was a very decorated amateur fighter, and he was from the Midwest. And so I always knew who he was, man. And I always used to see him with those Olympic boxing jackets. And I always said, man, I'm gonna get me a jacket like that one day, you know. And it was just crazy that I would see him and he was always so nice to me. And then come to find out we're related, man.
So with Gary Lane, he weighed 258. You went to a decision. So you've got out of Bob Arum, you've got 2 decisions on his cards. Did that kind of mess with your head a little bit?
No, not at all. It was beautiful, man. Because my trainer always had the mindset, we never go into a fight to knock nobody out. Well, excuse me, we never go in looking for the knockout. If the knockout comes, it comes. I went in there to put in work for however many rounds that I was signed up to fight. So I never, ever went out there with the mindset, oh, I'm going to hit this guy and knock him out. I always believe in combinations, man, which they don't really throw today. These fighters today, they throw straight right punches to the body with their chins exposed. I just be looking like, man, in my era, these dudes wouldn't have been around because I'd have loved to let a dude throw a straight shot to my body like that, putting his chin in there. They still be counting him out.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. We're gonna move on.
No, all the young fighters do it, man. I've seen them. Yeah. They'll do something like this and throw a straight. I'm like, man, that like you've never seen anybody from the early millennium going back to John L. Sullivan. You've never seen anybody throw a straight body shot like that without leaning into it or something. They would like do a little something up here and just throw a straight shot like a jab, but it'd be the right hand. Like, man, it just looked awkward to me. But if it worked, it worked. Who am I to say what works? Everybody got to do what works for them.
Louis Monaco is your next opponent after that. Louis Monaco is no joke. Joey, wait. Joey, lead this one in, man.
That guy has the worst record, but is one of the most dangerous guys. He's what, 5'9", 5'10". He's got an 80-inch reach, and he knocked out Buster Douglas. That's a monster.
Michael Dokes, Kevin McBride, Rick Rufus, Peter McNeely knocked them all out.
Wow. I believe it, man. That dude, his biceps had biceps. You hear me?
Jacked.
I mean, they said he used to lift refrigerators part-time when he wasn't boxing. They called him the strongest man in boxing because I think they said he could bench like 500 pounds or something. And so going into the fight, I knew I could not allow myself to be hit by a guy like that. Even if I could beat a guy, there's no point. Like my trainer said, a good boxer always beat a good brawler. And so never box a boxer, never brawl a brawler. And so because I'm a chess player, I knew not to go out there and try to show my manhood and go toe to toe. 2 fools make a fight. So I did what I did. I put him on that chessboard, kept that jab, kept turning him, kept watching to see, was he coming down flat with his foot? Was he breathing hard? What was his reactions to my feints? And when I got him into the position, and you could see the video, it's probably the most beautiful combination I've ever seen in boxing. The way that I hit him I hit him with it was a body shot, came up the middle, and then hit him with a hook. And it was like a check hook at the end. It was like a body shot, a left uppercut, and a hook to the chin, and my body in the position that I hit him, and I'm walking to the corner as I hit him. Like, man, dude, that was beautiful.
he fought Butterbean, and
man, in his second fight,
everybody trashes Butterbean. I respect him. He's just, dude, just likes to fight, man. I mean, he is what he is, man.
Very nice guy. Very, very, very nice guy. I respect him to the utmost. And I hate when people try to judge a boxer, even if he's a coward fighter. Why? Because you don't realize how much courage it takes for anybody to get in front of a lot of people with gloves on, and nobody can help you. Ain't no such thing as a coward, man. Now, being afraid is one thing, but being a coward, unlike, like, I did see one fight where it was a big African dude and there was another black dude in the ring, and the African dude, they called him to the corner, they called him to the middle of the ring, and they said touch gloves, and when they walked back to the corner, his opponent got out the ring and walked back to the locker room. Now
I
that's
saw
a
that.
coward. That's a coward. That's a coward.
All right, so you're 9 fights in. Your pro career started November 4th, 1996. You were we're in June of 98. Like, dude, your schedule is crazy. Like, it's abnormal for somebody to fight that much. You rattle off 3 more fights in 98 with 2 more, Everett Martin, Marcus Rohde, and then you take some time. Yeah, then you take some time off. Why do you decide to finally get some rest?
I didn't want to. I was supposed to fight Samson Pahur in Las Vegas under, I don't know if it was, I'm trying to think of who card it was. David Izon was fighting. It was I think it was at the Thomas and Mack. I believe, don't quote me now, but the point is, I'm in a locker room and I'm supposed to fight Samson Pahur. We came to the weigh-in, press conference, everything. I get there at the time I was supposed to. I dressed up and I wrapped my hands. Freddie Roach was actually training me at that point. And
Wow.
so they say you're gonna be a swing bout. And so they say I'm scheduled to fight Samson Pahur. So they said Samson Pahur hadn't showed up yet. So at the time when I was scheduled to fight, like the fourth fight, I done warmed up, I'm all hot. Samson Pahur isn't there. So they said, well, we're gonna push it back. So they pushed me back like 4 more fights. I warm up, Samson Pahur isn't there. So then they say, you're gonna go at the end of the night. And so whoever the main event was, Samson Pahur finally walks past my room and he's barefooted. And so I'm in there getting ready. Now, this is the 3rd time I done had to get up, cool down, get up, cool. I'm burnt out. So they come to my locker room and say, Samson Pahur isn't going to fight. I said, what? They said, yeah, he's not going to fight. He got a medical condition. He got gout. I'm like, well, what is gout? So he couldn't fight. So I'm like, okay, I've signed a contract. So I'm just like, all right, well, cool. Cut me my check because I did my part.
You showed up. Yeah.
So because I asked Don King to give me the money that he was going to pay me for a swing bout, he made me sit on a shelf for a whole year and I couldn't fight.
Ooh.
And the track record, as you see, I skipped the whole year. I didn't get to fight. I just sat and watched everybody else fight. And then the WBO did that too. No, I ain't gonna say the WBO. I don't know who did it, but they did the same thing when I fought Klitschko the first time. They sent me a letter and said that I'm #1 in the United States, #1 in the world for the WBO. You're gonna fight whoever we choose. We're not gonna give you because Corey Sanders, rest in peace, the South African, he gave up his belt to go fight Vitaly Klitschko because I was his mandatory. He didn't want to fight me. So he gave up his belt, and I get it. He wanted to make the money. So he went to fight Vitaly.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's business.
So I done fought my way. Everybody that they told me to fight, I done fought. I done beat. I done knocked out. So I'm #1 and it's vacant. So instead of giving me the belt, which I rightfully deserve, they said, well, we're going to put somebody for you to fight, but you can't fight until we give you who to fight. So they made me sit down for a whole year and 4 months and watch Wladimir Klitschko fight every 3 months until they say, now you're going to fight Wladimir Klitschko. But the whole point is, the whole point with that was that my trainer had already showed me how to beat Wladimir Klitschko. So I already knew I could beat him. And so I trained every day from that time I got that letter a year and 4 months to a year and 4 months prior. I trained every day like I was getting ready for that fight. So by the time I got ready for that fight, man, I was like a Super Saiyan, man. I even went into the.
Yeah,
What's that?
you got to look at it too. Like it's pretty interesting because did you work with Johnny Boz, the matchmaker in New York, the legendary matchmaker?
It don't ring a bell to me.
Okay, so you fight Richard Mason, you get a unanimous decision. That's something that's not often happens in your career.
Man, Richard Mason and his nickname was Ironhead or something like that. And my trainer, I don't know if they showed it because I think it was televised, but my trainer made a joke in the middle of the fight. So I'm fighting Richard Mason's Richard Hardhead Mason was his name, and I'm hitting this dude, and I'm hitting this dude, and I'm hitting this dude, and man, my knuckles start hurting so bad in the fight from hitting this dude that it was about the 7th or 8th round. I get in the corner, I sit on a stool, and I'm looking for my trainer to give me advice, but I'm looking to tell him, look, man, my fists are hurting. What am I supposed to do? Because I'm hitting this dude with everything, and he just ain't going nowhere. My trainer going to stop looking at me. He going to look back like he looking back at the corner, and he going to say, hold on, son. I think I can hear him saying, just keep using your head. His fist can't take no more.
How close are you with burning out cardio wise? Because that it happens, man.
I tell you, man, I was so mad when he said that to me, but I know, my trainer, he'd be 100 years old today. He, like I say, man. Matter of fact, my trainer sparred with Joe Louis in the service when Joe Louis was doing that tax thing with going around with the militaries. He was in the military.
You mean when Joe Louis got shaken down by the IRS? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he used to actually played football against what's the famous black baseball player?
Jackie Robinson?
Jackie Robinson. He played football against Jackie Robinson in high school. Yeah, he was a great guy, man. So I've devoted. What's that?
Yeah, you had Arturo Gatti on that card as well. Did you ever interact with him?
Oh, that's my dude, man. Rest in peace, man. I love that guy. He was so nice to me, man. Every time I saw him, and I used to have they're called band dogs. He was 180-pound pit bull looking, like he looked like a massive, but he had the body of a mastiff but the head of a pit bull, and he was a really good dog, nice to everybody. And when he saw my dog, man, I mean, I thought he was ready to fight me for my dog, because him and my dog became buddies, man.
That's cool. Yeah, Arturo Gatti, man, absolute legend within the sport. All right, so here's where the tricky part comes. You fight Clifford, Etienne, you lose the unanimous decision. You thought he was 16-0.
Yeah.
Then you fight Vale Smith on Bob Arum's card, you knock him out.
Yep.
Charles Shufford, he's 15-1, you lose a decision.
Man, I'm glad you said that. So when I was in the amateurs, Michael Dokes used to be trained by my trainer, Bill Slayton, too. So when my trainer had to go out of the country or shoot, because him and Mickey Rourke, he used to always be on a set with Mickey Rourke doing movies. So he would send me to Michael Dokes in Vegas. So I would spar at Johnny Toko's gym with who's the heavyweight we just saying? Charles Shufford. So I would spar with Charles Shufford when we was in the amateurs, and I would get the best of him. Now, don't get me wrong, he was a good fighter, but I was better. And so as a pro, I knew I was gonna beat this dude, man, because I know his style, because I've been in the ring with him. And so HBO, the Showbox, said, hey, you put on a good show, even though you didn't win against Cliff Etienne, and then you went and you won this fight again over in Wendover, Utah. We're going to give you another chance to fight on Showbox again with Ed Lover as the host, the Yo MTV rap dude. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I said, and then they talking about Charles Shufford. Oh my gosh, I am about to get. I know I can't erase that zero, but I'm going to make Charles Shufford pay for it. So in getting my weight down, because when I tore my ACL against Cliff Etienne, they told me I had to be on bed rest for several months. So I had bloomed up. And then when they told me I could fight again, then I had that little tune-up fight. But then when they called me for the TV fight, I was like, I can't go on TV and still have this kind of weight on me. I got to get myself even lower. So because I was going to Gold's Gym every day, like I told you, I was asking the weightlifters in Gold's Gym, how do you get yourself to look like that, right? So I'm not,
Oh,
I didn't know, man. I didn't know. So they told me you had to eat a lot of protein. And they was telling me what I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. So I just thought, I didn't know. I thought if you ate chicken and vegetables every day, you got energy. I didn't know that you needed carbs to give you, I didn't know what a carb was. And so I knew I was training hard and I expected to be tired from training, but I just kept saying through camp, like, man, why am I so? I said, well, you just tired because you're working hard. But I didn't know it was because I was zapping my body of all the carbohydrates in my body. And so when I got into the fight, I thought that I thought that if I had that week when I got there, I could rest from the hard training to get myself down to my fighting weight. And I said, well, I'm going to eat and put food in my body to give me energy. But when I got into the fight, unfortunately, I only had about 1 or 2 rounds in me because I remember the first round I came out and I didn't come out hard because I wanted to make sure that I had energy because I was so weak doing training, trying to figure out why I'm weak like this. And then in the second round, I hit him with a right hand and I went to go finish him with the left hook because I had him. And man, I went to take a step and it was like a loudspeaker. Somebody just came out of a loudspeaker and said, no. My whole body just shut down. If you watch when I'm walking back to the corners, when I get to the corner, I don't even bother to see if they put the stool on the corner because I'm so tired. I just sit down. If the stool was near, I'd have just sat on the floor. Man, that was the only fight I ever had in my life. I had to talk myself through the fight. Whereas I'm like, okay, we're gonna take a left hand and take a left foot, and we're gonna pick it up and throw it down. All right. I mean, dude, I didn't realize what I didn't know the difference between meat in terms of protein versus carbs. I always thought meat was what gave you energy, but that's the lack of education on my behalf. So I don't fault nobody. He
it
won the
is
fight.
what it is. Is
I
what
tried
it
to
is.
ask him that. I asked him for the rematch, man. He tried to. I guess he thought I had millions of dollars. I couldn't give him that. Not for what he was asking.
You took a year off after that.
So that let me see. That year off,
It would have been October 21st was Charles Shufford, and then it was
Shufford.
October 25th. You fight for Cantwell's promotion, or Can't Lose Promotions was at David Dawicki. You fought Joey Guy. It was like another tune-up fight.
Mm-hmm.
But you had a year off.
You know what, man? I'd really have to sit and think about that. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I knew it was another time I had a time off, but I don't know what it was. Oh, I had a deviated septum. That's what it was. I had a deviated septum. That's what it was. And I went to Canada because there's a machine up there called EEP or something like that, electrically enhanced pulsation. And I went up there and I put my knee in this box. And instead of surgery, this big old box, it actually reattached the I don't even know the word, man. Like my meniscus and all the everything in my knee, it just healed it. And all I had to do from the rest of my career was just wear a knee band. That's why I always used to wear long shorts. And I always had my knee bandaged because I didn't have to have surgery, which would have ended my career.
So Victor Wayasaki calls you February 2nd. You fight Nate Jones. Nate Jones, this is a guy you talked about earlier. He took your Olympic dream away from you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You get a little revenge. You knocked him out. I think it was a 3rd round.
Yes, sir. Oh, let me tell you a quick story about that, man. You ready to laugh?
Yeah.
So Don King called me and said, "You number one now." No, he said, you're the NABO champ. and I want you to fight my top fighter. I want you to fight Nate Jones. So you're gonna no, excuse me. That's when I fought for the title. I'm mistaken. He said, you've made it up to the top, so now you're gonna fight my top fighter. So I said, okay, great. I'm gonna fight. He said, you're gonna fight for the NABO. I'm like, oh wow. So I'm thinking money is associated with that too. So he said, I'm only gonna give you 10,000. 10,000. What I'm gonna do with that? Like I'm now number 4 by the NABO, and now you saying that I'm fighting for the NABO, and I made more money when I was fighting to become number 1, and now you tell me to become number 1 I'm gonna make less money? Like, how does that work? So I say, Don, my wife is pregnant with her first child. I live in Los Angeles. I ain't got no family. I said, well, man, can you just sweeten the pot a little bit? I said, well, what if I knock him out before the 4th round? I said, would you give me another 10,000? He said, yes. So what do? My attorney was sitting there. My attorney drew up the agreement right there and sent it to Don. So Don signs it. If I knock him out before the 4th round, he'll give me another 10,000 to go with the 10,000 that I was gonna make before I paid taxes and child support and trainers
it's
and
gone.
training expense.
You fought for free. You fought for free.
And my wife is pregnant, by the way. Yeah. So man, he signs this paper. I go beat Nate Jones. I'm the NABO champ, and I'm back. And I'm back in Los Angeles, and I'm like, okay. And so I get a call. Don wants to meet with you. He sends his private plane to come get me. They fly me over his house in Las Vegas, and then have his limo picking me up to pick me up from my house. Now taking me from the private airport, taking me to Don's house. So I get there, I walk in his house, I sit down. When I sit down, the piano start playing by itself, and then Don comes down the steps, and I'm like, wow, I got my little paper in my hand because I need this 10,000. So Don does his whole spiel, right? Oh, you number 1, and now you're gonna be the champ, right? So I'm waiting for him to make a pause in the conversation so that I can slide this paper across the table to him. So finally, after he got through giving his Martin Luther King speech, I take the paper and slide. I just slid it across the table. I slid across the table to him. So he's talking to me and talking about what we's gonna do, but I just need this money, man. I just need this money. I don't have nobody. I need this money. So anyway, he looks at the paper. He looks at me. He looks at the paper, put the paper down, face down, slide it back across the table to me, and then looks at me dead in my eye across the table. And it's just the 2 of us in his room, in his living room, in his house. I remember it like yesterday. He says, well, I'm going to just keep it tied up in court until either you die or run out of money. But in the same breath, he reached right over to his right. He had a whole stack of papers and slid the papers over to him, to himself, in front of himself, and then slid it across to me. He was like, I want you to sign these. I'm like, what? I said, sign these. He said, oh, well, I want you taking advantage of me. Taking advantage of you. You didn't give me a signing bonus. You didn't honor this agreement for the extra 10,000. And now I'm still a year and a half in the contract with you, and you telling me you want me to sign this stack of papers and I'm by myself? And then you know what he gonna tell me? Man, I ain't even gonna say it. I'll tell you off camera. Yeah,
man. I guess they say closed mouths don't get fed. That guy's mouth was always open. It was always open, man.
It took me a long time. It took me a long time to understand where Don was coming from. Don is an opportunist. And you got to really consider in life what an opportunist is. I remember I watched a movie, I think it was Shaft, and it was I think in that movie Shaft, I'm trying to remember who it was. He was going up, or anyway, Richard Pryor ended up, I think it was Sidney Poitier. I don't know if that was the movie, but it was a movie where Richard Pryor had robbed Sidney Poitier, and Sidney Poitier was looking like a decent guy, and he was like, hey man, he said, why me? And then with the gun on him, Richard Pryor looked at him and said, "Why not you, brother?" And I said, "You know what? I get it. It's a hustle. And if this is his kingdom on earth, well then, hey, so be it." Don opened a lot of doors for a lot of people, and I went to Don, and he took me in when I had lost. I had lost, and so after I lost that second fight to Bob
Clifford.
Arum, because I had
Yeah.
they let me go, and so I was feeling low. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and so at last resort, I went to Don, and Don, he was like, "Well, you should have came to me when you first came out the Olympics, because everybody wanted me. Emmanuel Stewart, Shelly Finkel, everybody wanted me, but I'm loyal, and so I stayed with my trainer, Bill Slayton." And so Don was mad at me that I didn't sign with him, and that I wouldn't come to his camps and nothing like that when I had the chance to go spar with people. And so, like I say, man, he got the money, I got the title. That's what it is. And I ain't mad at him. Yeah, at least I got the title. I mean, when I prayed to God, when Sugar Ray Leonard beat Marvin Hagler, I didn't say, "God, make me rich." I didn't say, "God, make me famous." I said, "God, let me become heavyweight champion of the world."
Well,
God kept his word.
and we're going to wrap up, and we got, you've given us a lot of your time, and we appreciate it. Vlad Klitschko, he's with Freddy Roach. Freddy Roach, or then Lennox Lewis retires. So now Klitschko ditches Roach, goes over with Emmanuel Stewart, who was with Lennox Lewis. And the first time he uses Emmanuel Stewart as his trainer is with you. Meanwhile, Freddy Roach had you in his gym and could probably break you down a little bit. Well, I mean, Emmanuel Stewart's brilliant boxing mind, but he had your former coach in his corner. Isn't it funny how that kind of added up? You had to have been talking about that.
I never, you know what, man? That's a very interesting point you bring up. I never really considered it until you just said it just now. Like, I didn't really think about that. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Like, if you're going to ditch you're going to ditch Freddy Roach, it's going to be the next fight. Right.
Yeah, you don't never want to switch trainers like that, man. You never want to switch trainers like that. Definitely. And it was funny because I tell people, don't believe what I tell you. Go and look at all the interviews that Wladimir Klitschko did while I had the title after I beat him. You'll never ever see one time where he said he wanted to fight me. But the minute he found out that I detached my retina and I'm hospital bound, laying face down in the hospital for 3 months at a time, then he said he wanted to fight me. And then they said they wouldn't allow me to have a tune-up. So it ain't like I was just inactive, but yet I was still in the gym. I was laid face down with a gas bubble in my eye. So, and I had been off for, I forget, it was like a year and 2 months before me and him fought again, or 6 months, something like that. And I'm like, so when every time people say, "Oh yeah, Wladimir Klitschko beat you," like, he beat a dude that was laid up with an IV, with a morphine drip in his left arm and an IV bag in his right arm for 3 months. And you proud of that? He didn't stop me. I stopped me when Buddy McGirt stopped the fight because my eye started swelling and he thought that maybe my retina was detaching again. So Wladimir Klitschko didn't really beat me. I beat me. I was rusty as hell.
All right, so we're not supposed to interrupt a guest.
Oh no,
especially
no.
I am gonna interrupt at this point. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Wladimir Klitschko, after you dispose of him, because that's what you did.
Yeah.
The announcers are like, "Well, that's the end of an era. Wladimir Klitschko's over." Right. He goes on to win 22 more fights after you.
Because Wladimir is a great fighter. And I told people, if you look at the interview, I said, don't count Vlad out. He beat a better fighter. I beat a better fighter. Nobody was better than me other than Wladimir Klitschko that could beat me. Everybody else was underneath Vlad. It ain't like Wladimir fought the same level of competition against me as he fought against everybody else. I'm not calling nobody out, but just look at the people that he fought and compare him to me.
Well, I will continue. If you look at his 22 fights, The overwhelming majority are in Germany, and he would not set foot into any type of testing pool here in the United States. Right. And that's a fact. Well, here, man, let's look at that fight, though. Like, if you look at with your Klitschko fight, the first round, man, it's ugly. It's ugly. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm a Midwest guy. I'm definitely on your bandwagon. I'm like, man, when are you gonna get up and go? Right. You don't start doing it till about the fourth round. Yep. No. The third round. The beginning of the third round, you landed a hard left that stunned Klitschko. Yep. And you saw the bend.
And I got something to add to that nobody really knows, and you about to do it. So in the second round, when Wladimir started pulling me down and started going to the ground, I started putting my hands on my knees to wait until the ref break it up, right? So I'm looking down at this dude's shoes, like, this dude got on some Michael Jordans. The bell rings. I go back to the corner. The commentator, ladies and gentlemen, in the crowd, Michael Jordan. I look over to the left, Michael Jordan sitting right there. Man, I said, I'm killing this dude, man. So Michael Jordan helped get Wladimir Klitschko knocked out because I'm from the hood. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Michael Jordan never came to the hood to give nobody no shoes. I'm the first and only world heavyweight champion from Indianapolis, and he wouldn't even give me shoes. He gonna give a dude from another country shoes? I had to knock him out, baby.
So that fourth round, like you saw, and like Emanuel Stewart, like if you listen, obviously you've watched the fight. In between rounds, Emanuel Stewart he's breathing heavy. He's breathing heavy. Like he's trying to calm Klitschko down because he knows you're a hell of a nail, and all you gotta do is just know when he's about to break.
But I had to be smart on this fight. This is the only fight in my entire career. I never trained. So this fight, I watched a fight of Davey Moore when he fought Roberto Duran. And Roberto Duran pressure is what broke him down. And then I noticed when Wladimir would fight in the late rounds, like when he fought Ray Mercer, he was so tired, even 5 minutes after the interview, he couldn't even talk. So I said, I'm younger. I'm just as strong. I punch just as hard. If we can get this dude into the deep water. So my trainer at the time, Shadid Saluki, we trained by watching these fights. Julio Cesar Chavez taking people like Angel Hernandez, I think it was Angel Hernandez. I believe he would take him into the late rounds, man, just going to the body, keeping that pressure. Now, never allowing a guy that got that kind of reach to sit back and be able to breathe. So pressure busts pipes. So I said, I got to take this dude into the deep rounds. So I never, ever, ever trained to win the rounds with him. This is the first and only fight in my career that I ever trained just to knock a dude out by just putting pressure. I didn't set up. So in this fight, when I came out there and I kept putting that pressure, it made him throw everything that he had, but he was throwing, man, that dude was fast. He could punch really hard. He's skilled. And it was like I could say the toughest heavyweight fight I ever had, And so
He was Felix Savon. He was Felix Savon. He had the same build as Felix Savon.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better, brother. And so I knew I had to endure. And so in camp, what we was doing, I thought we was doing 30-second rest. They was only giving me 15-second rest. I thought we was doing 3 minutes. They had me going 4 minutes. And then what they were doing, they was rotating all these heavyweights. So everybody was fresh that came in the ring, and they was paying them $1,000 if any one of them could drop me in camp. And we in Big Bear, 7,000 feet altitude, 7,500 feet altitude. We in Sugarloaf on the back end at Richie's gym. Rest in peace. So everybody I know was gone, man. But anyway,
Bill Slayton died 2 weeks prior. I mean, it's what an emotional fight, man.
He died October 10th of 2003. And I won the title April 4th of 2004. Okay. Mandalay Bay. Yeah, man. But that was it was a very good fight for me, man, to not just win the world title, but to be the best fighter in the heavyweight division and a gold medalist. Like I got a gold medal and a title that night. You know what I mean? The only thing that hurt me about that entire fight was after the fight, there was a lot of controversy of people trying to say, oh, somebody drugged Wladimir. And then even at the time, of course, and I ain't even mad at Wladimir because when you lose, that's when George Foreman said you supposed to make excuses. So for a long time, with all the power and fans he had, people thought that I wasn't a real champion because they thought that I cheated, you know?
Well, here, let's look at that fourth round. That fourth round, you get you landed a hard left to the body, and then Klitschko lands a short left. The ref said that like he threw you down, and he didn't count it. It looked like there should have been a standing 8 there. He eventually gets a standing 8, but your composure, bro, those 200 some odd amateur boxing matches allowed you to be composed at that moment, man.
And I tell you, man, one thing that helps a fighter in the ring psychologically is when they know that they have done things that is hard. And what I'm talking about that, like there's a canyon in Los Angeles called Runyon Canyon. It's 1.2 miles straight up. It's an old fire canyon. And man, to run that is so hard that if you psychologically ain't strong, I ain't talking about walking, I'm talking about run. To be able to run that, man, you want to quit so bad. But I just kept saying, if I quit now, I'm going to quit in the fight. So I didn't give myself any excuse. I didn't eat no junk food. I didn't stay up later than I should. I did everything I was supposed to do to win that fight. So when I got in the fight and I stood eye to eye with him, I let him know I done everything that I was supposed to do. I did not cut no corners. I did not take him lightly. I did not cheat. I'm going to win. And I told him at the press conference when I smacked the mic, I said, the only way you're going to beat me is if you kill me. And he didn't have it in his heart to kill me, so I won.
Man, that stare down was one of the most intense things I have ever seen in combat sports.
That was my soul coming out of me, man.
Man, willing to die. You were willing to die.
I was ready to because man, I come from when I left Indiana, it was the height of the crack era. And everybody I knew was selling drugs. They were dope fiends, drug addicts, they were shot, they were in jail, or they were dead. And I was right in the middle of that. So God gave me an avenue to get out. And I wasn't going to let a guy like Wladimir Klitschko keep me from my dream of become heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, I can only say from the armchair that I can sit here and say, well, Lamon Brewster, he was just a nail until he wore his opponent down. Right. How many people don't know when to step on the gas? They don't. They just continue to be that nail. And that fifth round, you took advantage of Klitschko. You saw his wobbly legs, man.
And that fourth round, when he hurt me with that shot, he hurt me with a shot in the fourth round, and I staggered. But he had stepped so far back that he couldn't take advantage. So when he tried to come back in and hit me, I took a knee. But I had already practiced. I had never been down before, so I had already practiced. Like you say, when you down, don't jump up because your blood runs to the top of your head, makes you dizzy, you fall. Go to one knee. Wait till we get to 8. Make sure you up before the count of 8. Look over at the corner. Let them know that you okay. And then when I looked across the ring, he was so freaking tired. I saw him breathing so hard. I said, this is when it's time for to turn it up, because me and Shadid had worked with the mindset of shifting gears. So we said that we were going to shift gears at the 6th round. But when I didn't make it to the 6th round. When I got to the 4th round, I saw how tired he was. I said, I'm going to turn it on. And so that's when I turned it on. And I got that dude out there in that 5th round.
See, you say you turned it on. We have watched numerous people not turn it on and try to eke out a decision. You went, you put your foot on his throat. You had to. You made a statement. You had to. Yeah.
Because he's tall. You can't fight a tall, skilled dude like that. Wladimir Klitschko is a very skilled guy. I mean, he earned everything he got, man, whether it was in his country or this one. But, he's a very good fighter. I have nothing negative to say about him whatsoever, and I'm praying for him. And I really, if anybody watched this, man, pray for Vitaly Klitschko, man. I love that dude. I always used to run into him at Santa Monica Beach with his kids. I have my kids, and we just developed a relationship. And I just, what's going on over there, man, I understand, but it ain't nothing I can do but just pray that, God make a better way for everybody, man. And I
Everybody.
want my brother to come out safe, Vitaly Klitschko. Show him some love, please.
All right, we're wrapping up, dude. But before we go, we got to talk about Galata.
Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize, man. Listen, we got you almost 2 hours right now, man, dude. Andrew Golata, dude. That's a legendary head case, and you were 2.5-1 underdog.
Yep. And I was the champ. But see, here's the thing, man. I have never, I guess to my disappointment, I never got to fight in my hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana, because they had the March Madness going on at the time. The Don wanted me to take that fight because I had fought Kali Mihan after Wladimir Klitschko, but I had such a relationship with Kali Mihan that I just couldn't psychologically, something wouldn't allow me to pull the trigger on that dude, so I couldn't get him out. So Don was like, you got to take a fight against somebody that can prove that Klitschko fight wasn't a fluke. I was like, okay, who? He said, Andrew Golata. I said, okay. He said, we'll try to make it, in Indiana. So we came. I think he tried, but it didn't work out. And so the closest place was going to be in Chicago. And I favored Chicago, not knowing at the time the Polish population.
Wait, okay.
I didn't.
Let me interject. So outside of Warsaw, Poland, Chicago's
The
got
largest
more Polish
population in the
we
world.
got the largest, and I think we actually surpassed Polish people
I
in
didn't
Warsaw
know.
here in Chicago. Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
So for this fight, man, I'm thinking I'm fighting Golata. I know he's a tough guy, but I want to show people that the Klitschko fight wasn't a fluke since I went the distance with Kali Mihan. So anyway, I get the fight, man, and the first thing that happened is when I was in camp, I was with Jessie Reid. We was over in Vegas. My wife had a regimen because she was pregnant with our second child. She had a regimen of taking the kids to school after let's say she would take them to school and then she would go work out at the gym. And so instead of her going to the gym after she dropped off our oldest daughter, she came back to the house. When she came back to the house, she opened the front door. There was some people that had broken into my house that was in the back part of my house. And the only reason why we know is because I had one of those chimes that beat when the door was open. So when they heard the door beat, my wife said she heard something just drop, and they just jumped out the window and climbed over the fence. Come to find out, well, first of all, I don't have an alley. So how the police don't know who jumped over it's a 16-foot fence in Encino. They jumped over the fence, except on the sides, it was 6 feet, and the mud tracks led up to the back of the house that was directly behind me. Even the guy that came out to do all the pictures said, this is a clean-cut case. My wife was in the house, called me, and said, somebody's in the house. I'm in the gym with Jessie Reid with my hands wrapped, with my boxing gear on. My wife
ready.
Called,
You were ready.
I ran out of the gym. I ran out of the boxing gym with my clothes on, my boxing gear on. I went to the airport because it's just a 45-minute flight from Vegas to Burbank. I'm on the plane. About the first ticket I could, flying back to Burbank. I'm dry, man. I listen. I get to the house, man, to see my pregnant wife just in dismay. Now, mind you, I got to go back to camp. So I told God, I said, God, if you don't allow me to win this fight against Andrew Golata, because I got to go back to camp. I got to leave my pregnant wife, and we ain't got no family out there. I said, I'm going to kill these people. I said, I know who killed, I know who broke in my house. I said, I'm going to kill these people because the police ain't going to do nothing about it. But I said, God, if you let me win this fight, I'm going to leave them people alone. I won the fight. But but not just that. So when I was there, mind you, I'm on West Coast time. And so when I come to Chicago, we're on Eastern time, or
Midwest, Central Standard. Yeah.
So it's 6 o'clock in the morning. So for me, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. We get to the room, we got our camps, and we're going in this room where they got all these these TVs and cameras set up, and the room was so small, they said only you and Golata can come in. The rest of y'all camps got to stay out. I'm like, I ain't tripping, because I ain't never had no problem with Golata. We actually did a radio station together in New York, and we was cool. Everything was good. So we're sitting there, and I'm tired, and the person says, well, I'm gonna open up with you, Golata. The first question is to you for the satellite. He said, what are you gonna do in this fight? Golata just jumps up and runs over to me while I'm sitting down, and he's pointing like he got his finger in my face. I'm gonna knock him up. And I'm looking at this dude like, are you serious? Like, you really want to fight me here? Like, number one, I didn't even have to fight you. I gave you the opportunity to fight for this title. You wasn't my mandatory. This is the way you're gonna treat me? I'm like, that's not even necessary. So I got mad. So now I'm getting pissed off. So then I found out that day that the referee that was supposed to be my referee for the fight, he's the best friend of Golata's. He's Golata's trainer's best friend. I'm like, what the hell?
What are you talking about? Sam Colonna's best friend. Yeah.
So they explained to me that I have the right to use my veto power to veto one person out of the fight. So I go to them. I'm like, look, this dude is his best friend, and I'm fighting his best friend's fighter. And they said he is the most crooked referee in the entire state of Illinois. I want him gone. They tell me they can't do it. I'm the champ. How you gonna tell me I can't do it when the law says?
Bet you I don't leave this locker room.
So I get to the locker room. This was the final straw. I get to the locker room. I know I go into this fight. I know there's no way I can win this fight if I don't knock this dude out. I didn't realize at that time that many Polish people came out to support Golata. I thought I'm the champ. I'm thinking they're gonna come, you know what I mean?
Let me interject. Just so people understand, there's Polish fighters that moved to Chicago just because the fan base is so big, because they make so much more money on ticket sales. Like there'll be 2,000 Polish people just to watch a single Polish fighter box on a regional show here in Chicago. That's how crazy they are. So go ahead.
So the last straw was this. You know how the cameras come into the room and be like, it's time. And then you got to go out into the hallway, and then you walk out to the edge of the hall, of the tunnel to go out, right? Till they call you out. I get to the edge of the tunnel, and I'm waiting for them to start my music. Or should I say I'm waiting for them to tell me it's time to walk out of the tunnel. I'm right under the tunnel. As I'm walking out of the tunnel, I'm feeling water hit my body. And I'm like, what? Maybe it's a leak or something. I look up over the tunnel. All the fans that was over that region, they were doing like this. They were spitting on me.
Dude.
Now, you ain't never seen that in a movie. You ain't never read that in a book. You ain't never seen that in a fight. Man, I could not believe. I'm the champ. I didn't even, he was not my mandatory. I'm doing him a favor. And the way y'all gonna pay me, I'm fighting in your hometown. I'm fighting, man. So when I got to the ring, if you watch me when I got in the ring, watch me. I'm so mad, I'm shaking. So when the bell rang, I didn't intend on fighting Golata. I intend on killing Golata. I was trying to see if I can make my wrist snap off so I can take my bone and go through it. I have never, man, listen, it's enough for somebody to disrespect you, right? But for somebody to spit on you, to go hot poo, not one time, not two times, but 10, 15, 20 times, they spitting on you. Listen, man, you deserve to die for that. And so because I couldn't fight them, I took it out on Golata. So he should thank his fans for, what should I say? He should talk to his fans for spitting on me. Because when I got in the ring, I didn't no longer care about fighting. So when the bell rang, if you saw me, I ran across the ring.
It was a
And
street fight.
I just tried to street fight this dude. I wasn't trying to set up. I just wanted to bang with this dude. And he made the one mistake that all fighters ever made, that ever try to stand toe to toe with me. Stand toe to toe.
I will tell you that with preparation, you know what you're dealing with. You watch tape, you do whatever tape he watched, he did not see that. There is not a single point in your career that you ever fought like that, ever.
Yes, it was. When Nate Jones beat me to go to the Olympics and I was mad at my ex-wife. Remember I told you I was mad?
Okay.
See,
Fair enough.
so
I didn't see that video.
Now remember this. Nate Jones beat me because I was trying to bang with him. He's called Nate the Snake because he's slick, so he was hitting me and running. He didn't beat me because he stood toe to toe. Golata made the mistake and tried to stand toe to toe. You don't stand in front of an angry black man. You don't do that.
Ever. I agree with that. Now, Golata, I'm not sure Golata even threw a punch, but whatever that they were expecting and was completely different than what they got.
If he would have came out and tried to box me, maybe he would have got me to calm down. But I was in my emotions. I'm still thinking about that spit, that snot that was on me from his fans. Snot, man. That's the most inhumane. I'd rather you slap me, shoot me. Don't spit on me, man.
Yeah.
That's worse than a dog, man.
Dude, that Golata fight, like I remember watching that. I'm like, I can't believe this. I go, what? What just happened here? Like, it was hard to kind of wrap my head around. I said, that ain't Lamon Brewster. That's Mike Tyson.
I broke the world record for the fastest knockout in heavyweight history. A record that was held by Jim Jeffries of Burbank. I broke his record. He had a record of I believe his record was like 59 seconds or something like that. My record was 53. It's still standing.
James J. Jeffries held that record?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
He had 59 seconds of the first round, the fastest knockout in the heavyweight championship title fight.
I will say, I think a lot of people got their money screwed up that night. 2.5 to 1 underdog.
I got a couple of uncles that lost money that night.
You ready for this? So the next week, I go to Indianapolis, my hometown, and I'm in a radio station downtown doing an interview about the fight. So they say that there was a man, an older gentleman, that looked upset downstairs, and they didn't know what it was about. He just kept saying he wanted to speak to me. He wanted to speak to Lamon Brewster. So, I'm like, okay, I'm a little nervous. I don't know what it's about. But
make sure security pats him down, right?
So after the interview, after I finished the radio interview, I walked down the steps, and I'm walking out the door, and he was probably about 10 yards away. He was smoking a cigar, had his back to me, and he heard the door open and look, and he saw it was me. He threw his cigarette down, and he ran over to me as fast as he could, and he had his hand behind his back. I'm like, oh, shit. I don't know what this dude about to do. He pulls out behind his back. He got his ticket from the Golata fight that happened when he went up. When the fight started, he went to the bathroom. When he came back, it was over. He wanted his money back. So you know what I did? I gave him Don King number. I hope he got his money.
Oh, man. Lamon Brewster, let me tell you something, man. You lead by example. There needs to be a movie about your life, bro. There really
Nobody
does.
will believe it. My manager, Sam Simon, at the time, rest in peace, he was a creator of the Bart Simpson, and he was the creator of The Simpsons. And he made this joke during a press conference that didn't go over too funny. I thought it was hilarious. At the press conference, he got up and spoke. You know how you bring the fighter to the stand. And when he brought me up, He said, I want to introduce to everybody Blocky. Drew Carey, his best friend,
Oh,
everybody.
Blocky. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
then he said Black Rocky, and nobody laughed, man. But I thought it was
Ah,
hilarious, dude. Hilarious.
Layman, I mean, what do we probably should have started with this. You're coaching boxing still in Indianapolis, correct?
I teach private in terms of coaching because I teach the art of how to punch. I teach people how to use their body, the art of expression. So I am not a traditional coach where I have a gym full of people. I train one-on-ones, but I primarily for my nonprofit organization, Brewster's Place, I train a free women's class so that I can help these women to get in shape, get Midwest. A lot of women carry a lot of weight, like men. We we don't eat it as healthy in the Midwest. So I do that to help them to get rid of stress. I help them to express themselves because a lot of women deal with a lot of things and ain't got no way to let it out. So I like doing that, man, and it feels good to me in my spirit. So I do that every Wednesday at 5:30 at a place called Riverside on the west side of town, man. But what I've started doing, and I'm asking you and all the other champions around the world. I already got Riddick Bowe and Ray Mercer and Chris Byrd and James Toney, and man, I got a slew of fighters. But I'm asking everybody to help support what my nonprofit organization represents. What I'm doing is I am selling coffee so that I can take proceeds of the money to pay champions to mentor to young individuals through Zoom. Why? Because life is a fight. See, schools teach you about education. Life teach you about application. My mathematical equation is education without application leads to a life of frustration. That's why you got a lot of educated fools, because a lot of them didn't have the guidance to be taught how to perceive life. And if you don't know what a jab is, you don't know what opportunity in life is. If you don't know what a hook is, you don't know what insurance is. If you don't know what a right hand is, you don't know what the boom, what the success. So every punch means something. And I have it broken down using mental health specialists to explain what it means in life. So I have through online, you buy coffee, that gives me the money. It's www.thechampionsbrew.com. And what I'm doing is taking these proceeds and I'm giving these champions who don't receive pensions. A lot of people don't know boxers don't receive pensions. What I'm doing is paying these champions money to stay relevant. They can't go out and be masonry. They can't go out and work construction because we got too many injuries to our bodies from all the years of boxing, or knees or ankles, arthritis. I'm blind in one eye. So what we need is people who say that they love the sport. Buy a bag of coffee, man, because that gives me the money to pay for them. I'm not trying to put this money in my pocket because what does it say? What is it? What is a man? What is it? What does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So at the end of the day, how can I be at the top and everybody else be struggling? I want all my brothers and sisters to help me by supporting this coffee, man, because the thing of it is, these young men out here are killing each other because they don't have father figures. They don't have nobody to look up to. Nobody's teaching them about the perception of life. And here's the last thing. You got a lot of young women that are trying to raise young men. These young men are raising up in these households with these young women. They're seeing the emotions of their mothers, but when they get 17, 18, and then their testosterone kicks in, they got the hormones that what they seen their mother do, how they act and going off on people, but they got men testosterone. That's a recipe for death. And what you're doing is allowing us as men to be able to mentor to these young men about how to perceive life as a fight. Because every time you walk in a room and somebody say hello to you, it's an opportunity, or somebody could be taking a shot at you. But if you don't know how to fight, then how can you win? But at Brewster's Place, we teach you how to catch, how to slip, how to roll as it relates to life. Because everybody knows boxing is 10% physical, 90% mental.
I'm going to tell you this, guys, right now. This gentleman right here, although you deleted your social media, I know you're right back on it. I am telling you to follow this guy on social media. He is brilliant beyond words. And we're going to put the coffee like you guys can purchase. Dude, I'm gonna be buying a bag tonight just as a thank you. But
Hey,
I'm telling you guys,
do me a favor, Mike?
what's up,
Would you
man?
do me a favor?
It'll be in the bio.
Would you guys take some makeup and give yourself a black eye, hold up a cup, take a picture of yourself, and then put in there the website www.thechampionsbrew.com, and then underneath put hashtag the coffee with the punch.
Got you, brother. 100%. Lamon Brewster, and let me tell you, let me give you a little insight. NASA, real or fake?
Well, you got to remember the history of NASA. It came from the who formed NASA.
Nazis.
Nazis, Sadists,
so
pedophiles,
the rest is
Scientologists. Thank you.
The rest is history.
Thank you. Joey, the guest is always right. Joey's very pro NASA. I have my stance on that. Anyway,
I'm a moderate.
Lamon, thank you so much for your time, man. We took more than we had expected. Honestly, man, I can't wait to see you again. And probably at Montel's next birthday party, bro.
I'm gonna smoke this time.
Good. All right, take care, man. Thank you so much for your time,
man.
champ.
Yes, sir.
You too.
That was an honor. That was a thrill for me. Got to finally talk to a world heavyweight champion. So a nerd like me, thanks for making that happen.
Well, you got to look at it this way. It's our first foray down the path of boxing. You know, our first MMA guy or wrestling guy was Mark Schultz. You always got to start with either Olympic gold medalist or, you know, some sort of world champion. And Lamon, I will tell you guys, like on social media, he is a phenomenal follow. He's phenomenal. You might not agree with everything he has to say, but he's not going to dodge the hard subjects, and he's willing to discuss it with you. I've got a world of respect for the guy.
Yeah, no, he was a great interview. And it's good to see him after all those fights. He's still sharp. He's not broken down. You know, it was great to see.
Right. The old school references.
That's right. Oh, yeah. James J. Jeffries comes up on the podcast. That guy, he fought Jack Johnson in 1910. I mean, that's how far back that goes. You look at my house. I've got boxing history, decorated my whole house, drives my wife crazy. So a guy as geeky as me, I got excited by that stuff.
Yeah, you know, like the hardcore, I should say the high-end boxers, Floyd Mayweather, my personal friend Montel Griffin, this gentleman right here, Chris Byrd, they're all like boxing history fanatics. Like it's
right.
The level of conversation that you can have with them in regards to history is way beyond like that expert level, or people that believe that they're experts. It's far beyond that. And it's kind of good to see that come out in certain times in the interview. I mean, it's an uphill battle in regards to notes. You know, you and I kind of rely on what we saw, not but because we were there for boxing. And I thought we did a pretty good job, especially in our prep in regards to it.
No, I thought it was a good interview. I'd like to do more of these, you know, every now and then. Obviously, we're an MMA podcast. We're going to stay true to that. But branching out, it can't hurt. I got excited for this one. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, we got a couple fun ones around the corner. We got a couple on the hook. We're reeling them in. I'm hoping to get Royce Alger, Valentin Overeem. You saw the notes that I sent over to you guys.
Oh yeah,
dude, that might be like our interview of the year. If we get him and he's honest, the explosiveness behind some of the questions and answers it might be interview of the year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm excited about that one. So
like, share, subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Also, a member of our team, Tyson Green, recently left. He left with the door open, which is obviously very important. Kind of work caught up with him. And we're looking for another producer. If we can get somebody to come on board to help out, you know, help schedule videos, kind of keep us in order as we're kind of running around with our heads cut off, trying to get another guest for the following week. Man, please come on board. If you could do thumbnails, we need any help that we can get. You know, we will gladly accept it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reach out to us.
Yeah. So Joey, I think we got to get a couple more boxers. We should do like 1 or 2 a month, maybe 1 a month. You know, maybe a Thursday release, one Thursday release a boxer. That was good shit, dude. The Don King stuff, like.
Yeah. Yep. No, that was exciting, man.
Good. Well, it looks like you're on set. I'm not going to keep you from your work anymore.
That's right. I got to go keep making sure these guys don't burn the place down. So
Right.
glad we
Joey,
knocked this out, Mike.
Thanks for your help, brother. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.